The other day, something reminded me of one of my former students from way back. He was about my age, and I wanted to reach out and say hello. Now, I did not used to be good at reaching out to people and keeping in touch with people. That's just something personal I'm working on. I'm a lot better at it now. But, I was just curious about how he was doing. And I looked at, I don't know if I still have his phone number, but I was on Instagram, so I just figured I'd say hello on Instagram or, you know, and he was not on my followers list, so he stopped following me. And I thought that was weird because I looked him up in my followers list and he was there. I thought, oh, okay, that's weird. So I looked him up on Facebook and he unfriended me on Facebook. And so I thought, wow, that's really unfortunate. He was a student of mine and we're about the same age. And, when I was teaching him, I was literally working 7 days a week. There's a lot of things that go into being a musician that you just don't typically think about if you're not a musician. There's rehearsals if you're in bands. And for me, I was in like two bands. One was like a gigging band and one was like an original band. So I was also teaching 7 days a week, and I was teaching at a couple of different schools, and I had my own students from, freelancing and traveling to these students' homes. Okay. So my personal time was basically non-existent. And whenever I did have time, I didn't want to fill it with stuff. I just wanted to sit. And a lot of that time was filled with rehearsing for the cover band. And if you're in a cover band, you develop a big repertoire of tunes. But a lot of weddings, for example, and special occasions have special requests. And so for every wedding gig, you might have to learn a new roster of songs. And every couple is going to have like their special song. This is the song that was playing when she first held my hand at the at the McDonald's, or I mean that's but I mean you get what I'm saying. I'm being facetious a little bit to ease the tension. So yeah, it's very tiring. The world of music, in terms of a career, is a very big table with room for everybody. However, if you want room at the table, you really have to make room. Just get in there and make room for yourself. So you gotta have a little bit of fight in you. You gotta have a little bit of gumption, some guts. You really have to go for it. Because there's always somebody who's going to take the gig if you don't take it, right? And it takes a lot of time. When you're in an original band, for example, you're writing songs, you're rehearsing compositions that your bandmates made, or you're collaborating, or you're revising parts and lyrics, and you're making arrangements and deciding on instrumentations, and it's your art. So you care about these things and you want them to be special. And so, yeah, it's hard. My stomach grumbling. It's about dinner time. And so when people, especially I've had, it wasn't just him though. I remember there was another gentleman who was a little older than me, and he invited me to, just meet up and have a drink with him. Nice guy, He was also a nice guy, but it was just I didn't have time. And then whatever free time that I wanted to have, I just wanted to be still. I wanted to sit for a while and rest, and just get centered, because I was playing gigs every week and, 7 days a week. It's a lot. As far as practicing concepts, you practice when you need to. And, that practice has definitely served me well now. But, you don't have a lot of time for people. Your job comes first. You're a professional. That's what being a professional is. If you have a job to do, you do that job. And whatever it takes to get that job done, that's what you do. That's what a professional does. Um, Not that I regret anything in my career so far, right? But I think if I could do one thing over again, I would get rid of the attitude that having a non-music job is somehow unacceptable. In some ways, though, if you have a dream to do your passion as a career, in a lot of ways, you have to have the mindset that, my dream is, or, I stop at nothing for my dream, and my dream is what it is, and I won't accept anything else. You have to have that iron will to pull it off. It comes at a high price, though. You lose friends and potential friends. Like, who knows where, that friendship could have led me. I could have met some really cool people from there too. I could have gotten different gig opportunities. And I could have, just a bunch of things. It doesn't make you feel good, but it was circumstantial. But it's just a shame that people are, those two in particular that I'm talking about are like, you know, uh, probably walking around thinking that, it was me just not wanting to spend time with them. That sucks. Um, there's give and take with everything. Nothing comes for free. Yeah. So I think that's probably the biggest lesson. If you're watching this and you want to be a career musician, nothing comes for free. Nothing. And the question you have to ask yourself is, does what I want have a price too high for my willingness to pay it? Is the price too high? Well, that's only for you to decide.